Learn how to create, sustain, and scale up your print-on-demand business with the latest tips, guides, and strategies to help you start selling and making money today. Welcome to the Sales on Demand Show. And here's your host, Adam Schneider.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Sales on Demand Show. I'm your host, Adam Schneider. Today, this is episode 69, and I hear you giggling in the background there, so get your mind out of the gutter. Today we are talking about how to fit print on demand into your life. It is summer right now, literally my favorite time of year, but I cannot spend too much time enjoying the warm weather because, you know, there's consistency is important to me. So today I'm going to talk about how do I fit print on demand into my life, how much time do I spend doing things, how do I balance, you know, my full-time job with all of the other things that I'm doing and still keep consistently building my business and, you know, also work on the podcast and everything else. There is a lot going on in my life, but everything is fitting together quite well, to be honest with you. I'm always kind of amazed when I look and see how many different things that I'm doing, because on the surface it just looks like there's too much, but it does work. So what's going on is I'm still working on my training course. It's almost done. So you guys can expect a full print-on-demand, how to do print-on-demand, A to Z, start to finish, coming up here with my entire brain. I am putting it into this course, okay? I've learned a lot over the last 3 years, more than 3 years, selling print-on-demand online. And it's all there. You guys are going to see, you know, many of the products that are working for me. I mean, as many as you need to see to make a difference. All of the secrets, all of the little tips, the strategies that I use on different platforms, it's all going to be there. And I'm just working on, you know, creating the Facebook page. I got to create an email list. There's a lot to be done, but it's getting close. I want it to be perfect. So, you know, I'm spending a lot of time on it. Also, you know, just trying to keep myself healthy, and maybe you've heard me mention this a few times, but I've been running recently because the gym, of course, closed. All gyms closed here in Alberta. So, in the middle of March, I suddenly became you know, I had nowhere to work out, and working out is one of those things that keeps my mental health and my physical health in check. And so I basically decided, well, let's start running outside. So I've just been gradually pushing the distance more and more, and I just hit 7.5 kilometers running without stopping in one session, which is something that I've never done in my entire life. I'm pushing 40 years old. The best I'd ever done, even when I was in the Navy, was 5 kilometers. So I'm pushing for 10 kilometers, and I think I can get there by the end, at least by the end of the summer, if not sooner. But I'm really excited about this. This is cool. I've just never, you know, it's cool what you can do when you work hard at something and you're putting a lot of focus and effort into it. It's amazing how fast you can progress. And you look back and you're like, wow, man, 3 months ago, I was nowhere near this. And this is really relevant to building a business. I mean, there's a lot of people, I get messages all the time from people who are brand new. They don't know their hind end from a hot rock. Sorry, but that's true. I mean, I was the same way when I started doing this. I didn't know what a conversion was. E-commerce was this just arcane. It was almost like learning Mandarin Chinese. It was that bizarre to me, but I stuck with it and learned, and now it's as natural as breathing. Um, and that's good because you don't want to stay a beginner forever. You want to progress. All right, so let's talk about what is selling right now. This is a great time to start creating products that are evergreen. Okay, so evergreen is a term that we use for something that will sell all year long. Okay, so examples of things that are not evergreen are Christmas ornaments, Halloween mugs, 4th of July mugs, Valentine's Day products. Although some things can be, some things might sell well during Valentine's and still be evergreen. A gift for your husband, a gift for your wife, for your girlfriend. Those are all things that are evergreen, but they'll sell well. They'll sell better at Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, and Christmas. But the true evergreen things are things like birthdays, retirements, weddings and anniversaries. You'll get more of that during, the summer, obviously. Maybe not so much this year. But I mean, people are getting married all the time. It's something that they just happens year round. Anniversaries, of course, people get married, but then they have the anniversary. So start creating products for those events, those occasions, and one thing that really works well with those kinds of evergreen occasions is customization. Picture customization, text customization. If you really want to go fancy, you can take people's pictures and Photoshop elements onto them or do things like that. Just start thinking about ways to do that. Look on Etsy, of course, for lots of inspiration. Start creating your own evergreen product. List them on Etsy and start selling, because there's lots of sales being had right now. And, I mean, even though it's summertime, there's lots of money to be made. So last week I talked about Amazon pay-per-click, and I told you pretty much, the basics on how to create a campaign, how to choose keywords, how to, which products should you add to pay-per-click campaigns, what is pay-per-click, and just some of the basics on that. If you missed that, it'll be at salesondemandshow.com/E68. For that, if I have launched that in time. But yeah, you can visit all of my previous episodes by going to salesondemandshow.com and just keep scrolling through. They're all in order of the launch. And of course, I've almost hit 70 now, so there's quite a few there. If you want to start at the beginning and go through all of the episodes, I would say start at episode 20, because I did an entire series on how to get started and what I would do if I was brand new and I just wanted to get started doing print on demand. How would I do it? That's still all applicable today. Very little of that has changed. I do throw updates here and there, but they're just minor details that change. The major things, the strategies, the basics, they don't change over time. So check that out, episode 20. And if you're looking for an episode, it's always E and the number. So I put the letter E in front of it and the number. So you can always find an episode on the website that way. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about. So of course I have a job, and having a job plus 100,000 different hobbies that I do. Running. What else? I'm in the Army Reserve. I like to volunteer. I sometimes play video games. How much time do I have available to invest in my business if you've got a lot of other things going on? Some of you out there, you probably have families. You're doing things with your family, especially in the summer. You should be doing things with your family. I'm taking my kids out camping. I'm planning camping trips. There's no summer camp this year, so that's something that I would normally be doing, but I'm not this year. So, I mean, in some respects, that kind of gives me more time. So, how much time should you invest if you already have a job? Well, just throwing a number out there, I would say that you should be looking at around 3 hours per week as a good average. And this is time spent on building your business during non-peak holidays. So obviously, if you're getting a ton of orders, you're going to be spending more than 3 hours a week filling those orders if you aren't using an integration. Personally, if I was working a full-time job, I would probably not be doing too many customized listings. I would be working on Evergreen designs that are more generic, that you can, list them on Etsy and Amazon and even send for fulfillment by Amazon. You can't do fulfillment by Amazon with customized listings. It just doesn't work because every single item is unique, right? Just think about that for a minute. FBA, they all have to be the same. Every item is the same. You can't tell Amazon, hey, print something on this mug on top of the design that's already there. They're not going to do that. They don't do that. They're not set up for that. So if you're doing FBA, this is great if you have a job already. The only thing is that it costs money to do FBA. But if you have a job, then in theory, your job should be paying all of your bills, and you should be taking all of the profit from your selling, rolling it back into your business to scale it up. You do not want to be in a position where the income from your print-on-demand business is vital for your life. You want to be able to pay all of your bills from your job. And this is coming from somebody who the income from my print-on-demand business actually was vital for a little while for me. And I would probably have been bankrupt without it. Even then, I still made sure I had enough money for scaling up. And there's plenty of profit for me to pay, the bills that I needed to pay and to keep building the business. Ideally, though, you would be able to save all of your profit from this business, all of it, and use it to scale up and build this business bigger. So this is how I would break down that 3 hours per week as a good average. So I would spend 1 hour researching new ideas. Okay, so you're going to go on Etsy. You're going to start looking at what is selling. Not just the generic coffee mug for sale or whatever, but research family niche. Start researching professions. Retirement. All of the things that I just mentioned to you at the beginning of the episode. Type those in, plus the word coffee mug or t-shirt, and see what comes up. Then start looking at each listing and reading the reviews for each item and seeing what's actually selling for these people. If you see something that is for sometimes the items that pop up are not the items that are actually selling. And that's why you always got to read the reviews and see what's actually selling, and then it'll give you a better idea of which items are more trending. Because there are some things that may be trending. I'll give you an example here. Last year in 2019, I kept seeing this phrase. What was it? It was like it was a phrase for dads, and it said something about Fa Thor, and it had a picture of Thor's hammer on it. So that was a trending top. I wish I could remember exactly what it said. But it was, I kept seeing it everywhere. And it was trending because the Avengers movies were coming out in 2019, and everybody was like, oh yeah, Fa Thor. The word Thor is kind of in the word father if you spell it with an O. So that was a trending topic for fathers, but you might see that pop up in searches in 2020. However, it's not going to sell nearly as well as it sold in 2019 because that was a trending topic then. So that's what I mean when I say things that pop up are not necessarily the things that are selling. So got to look at the reviews. Now, the rest of the 2 hours per week, you will spend creating and launching your designs and putting them on the platforms that you want to sell on. I would say put them on every platform. If you're spending the time to create a design, there's no reason not to launch it on both Amazon and Etsy. So 3 hours per week creating new designs, you will see a lot of success from that. Unless you are just not doing any research whatsoever, or your spelling is terrible or something like that, you will see growth in your business from this. So that's very important. 3 hours is not very much time per week. Think about what you do in a week. I know for a fact that I spend more than 3 hours per week on Facebook. I mean, I spend more than 3 hours a week probably going to the bathroom. That's, you need to go to the bathroom, but if you're sitting on the toilet, there is no reason that you can't be scrolling through Etsy and doing some research and then screenshot all the ideas that you find. But just make sure that you're not collecting a bunch of ideas and not using those ideas, because there's no point collecting ideas if you're not going to actually create designs that actually you're putting out there in the marketplace. An idea is worthless until it has something that people can buy. Okay, so here's some other points, if you have less time, is that you need to find out which hours are the most creative hours for you. So for me, it doesn't really matter for me. I'm pretty flexible in terms of what time of day is best for me. For workouts, I can go in the morning, I can go in the evening. It doesn't really matter. But if you're the kind of person that in the morning you're just like a bag of sand and just useless, then probably you're going to want to try and use evening hours to do all your creative processes. Because if you're trying to do it in the morning, you're just not going to be as effective. So find your most creative hours and set those ones aside. So then you need to decide what you're going to be doing. You need to very specifically and intentionally take specific action. So you can't say to yourself, well, I'm going to go and research. Research is a very broad term. See, there's lots of places that you can research. You can use Etsy. You can use Merchant Words. You can use Pinterest. You can use, you can just do Google search and look for memes. You can look through Facebook for memes. You need to decide where you're going to do what you plan to do. Like, what is it that I'm going to do? I'm going to go and search Pinterest for 25 minutes. I'm going to go search Etsy for 25 minutes. I'm going to find 5 good ideas and screenshot them and make new designs. That's the what. If you're too broad with what you'd like to do, you'll get distracted. That brings me to the next point. You need to block out distractions. So, I mentioned Facebook. For some people, it might be Instagram, it might be TikTok. You might be distracted by music. I mean, music can help you focus, but it also can distract you. It's weird like that. Some types of music actually just gets in the way of my mental processes. I can't focus on what I'm doing if I'm singing along to music, so I need music that doesn't have any lyrics to it in order to be able to focus. So what I like to use for music, if I really need something, if I need music and I'm like, oh man, I need to listen to music right now, I will use, and this, you're going to laugh at this, but classical music. So like Mozart and Bach, and Chopin and all of the classics. Those are amazing for focus. Plus, it's just really good music. I mean, if you've never listened to classical music, I love a lot of types of music. I like country music. Not a huge fan of rap music, mostly Christian music. But I mean, classical music is good. I mean, it's by definition some of the best music ever created. That's why it's lasted so long. And it's really good at helping you focus. Because if you've listened to classical music before, you'll know that, I don't know, it's just something about it that just puts your brain into some kind of creative mode. I don't really know how to describe it, but it does work. So, turn off the Facebook, turn off the video games, tell the kids that you're not going to be distracted for 25 minutes. I know this is tough if you have like toddlers or something like that. I mean, if you got a toddler or anybody under 4 and your job is to take care of them, well, you're probably going to be using strategies that I can't even fathom on. And it's been a long time since I've had toddlers, so I don't, whatever you got to do to keep them occupied for just a few minutes at a time, do it. So this is something that you should be, so when you're working, a really good way to be effective and to not overdo your time or underdo your time is to work in 25-minute intervals with a 5-minute break in between. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, I don't do this, but I know that it works, and it's a very tried and true method of just getting a lot of work done in a short period of time. If you know that you only have 25 minutes to work, and then you get another break, then your brain puts the amount of work you have to do in that 25 minutes. You can get a lot done in 25 minutes, and then you're like, okay, take a break. You need that break time, though. So get up, have a few grapes or some cherries or something, go for a walk. Go for a walk around the block if it helps, but just take that break, and you will get a lot done, because it's almost like sleeping. When you go to sleep, your brain enters REM sleep, which is an actual state, and it only lasts, I forget how long it lasts. It lasts between half an hour to 1.5 hours, but all of your dreaming occurs in that REM sleep. Your brain seems to be programmed to work in blocks of time, but then you do need a break from that task. So make sure you take that break. All right, so now this all is great and fine in the summertime, of course, when it's pretty slow and you're just dealing with 1 or 2 orders a day or something like that. I know some of you guys, if you had 1 or 2 orders a day, you'd throw yourself off a bridge because it's not enough. For me, 1 or 2 orders a day is kind of what I'm getting right now. It's very, very slow, if you haven't already picked that up. But I know it's going to pick up pretty soon here. Usually July is the slowest month. But then in the fall, and of course in the first part of the year, it was crazy busy for me. I was spending, an hour and a half a day sometimes filling orders. So if you have the time, when it is busy and you still want to do, you should still be building your business even when it's busy, because that's what consistency is all about. Consistency. Now, this is for people who aren't like me. If you have a little bit more time, when it is busy, send out your orders first. So make sure all your customers are taken care of. Try to do all of your messaging in one block. It's tempting when you're getting messages throughout the day to just be responding, but you should pick 1 or 2 times a day, sit down, respond to messages, do the things that you need to do. Do each customer at a time. So if one customer says, can you create this for me? Just deal with that customer all at one time and don't switch between customers. Because then you'll get distracted. You might forget what you were doing and not get things done. So this is something for me that I found to be effective, is just deal with one customer at a time and then leave that customer alone until they respond or whatever. So during busy times, if you can, it is really smart to launch 1 to 5 new ideas every single day, especially when it's busy, because that's when you're most likely to see what is going to sell. I mean, I could launch 1 to 5 new ideas a day right now, but I won't see sales on those until maybe September, October, and November. But when you actually are launching things in those busy seasons, you can really take advantage of momentum, right? And you'll start to see things that are selling. If you're doing research every week, you're going to see what sales are actually happening, and it's going to be more effective than trying to guess what's going to sell 6 months from now. So launching 1 to 5 new ideas a day when it's busy, really super effective. Also hard to do. Totally acknowledge that. Hard to do, super effective. Find a way to do it. So let's leave you with this. If you want to do this full time, this is how I would do this. Like full time or more than part time. So if you wanted to put, say, 20 hours into print on demand, this is what I would do. These are my recommendations. So, number 1, pick regular hours that you're going to work. Don't be the kind of person that just gets up, sits in front of your computer, and just works all day. Pick regular hours. And then outside of those regular hours, just put this aside. I mean, it's tempting in the beginning to be always thinking about it. And truthfully speaking, I am kind of always thinking about new ideas. I'm always collecting them. But I have very, for me, when I sit down in front of my computer, I'm working. If I'm not working, then I'm not working. Just like, we've all seen movies where police officers are just always thinking about work and they're always working, or doctors, and they're just constantly focused on their job. Don't be that guy. You need to be a well-rounded person, which means that you need to have a variety of things that you're thinking about. If all you're doing is working, I don't see that as being a fulfilling life, just to be honest. So pick regular hours and make those your office hours. And then when you're actually in those hours, you're working. You put aside distractions, you put aside Facebook, if you can, you put your kids, somewhere where they're not going to be pestering you as much. And, maybe your regular hours is like 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. That's a regular hour. Okay, so you pick the hour that you want to work and make that your work hour. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to pick an office location that separates your work from the rest of your life. So I have an office that is strictly mine. It's got all my office stuff in it, and it is my office location. When I close my door, my family knows I'm recording, and they're not going to bust in the door with, whatever. They know that I'm on the job, so to speak. And I minimize distractions by separating that work from everything else that I'm doing, right? So I don't, I'll sometimes eat in my office, but it is difficult because sometimes if you're working from home, life and work sort of blend together in a way that is not always healthy, but it's almost unavoidable. So do the best you can to minimize distractions by separating your work from everything else. And picking an office location and working from that spot and exclusively from that spot is a good way to do that. So if you want to do this full time, I did have a podcast episode about that, and let's see if I can tell you which one it is here. Nope, I don't put the titles on it. Okay. Well, what I would do is work on customizable listings with Etsy first. It's going to take a lot of time for this, but these are the listings that sell really well on Etsy, and you just have to be prepared to put in, lots of customer face time. So you're going to get a lot of customers messaging you and saying, oh, can you make it say this? Can you make it say that? And you can make quite a few sales from that. It just, of course, takes time. So that's what I would do to build your business in the beginning. And of course, you need to be consistent and steady even if you have full-time hours available for this, just remember, it's not a race, okay? Consistency is better than an explosion of effort in the beginning and then you trickle off because you lost interest. And I must emphasize to you, there is no relationship between how much money you make and how much time you invest, okay? Even though I've talked about, Etsy being more time-oriented, there are some people who spend very little time doing this, such as myself, and make quite a bit of money. Whereas other people, they'll put a lot of time, create a whole bunch of listings, and not see very many sales from that. I talk about how to become more successful with the amount of time that you have, okay? But still, there's no mathematical formula for invest X number of hours, make X number of dollars. This is not a job, okay? If you want to make a wage, go work for, 7-Eleven or Amazon or something like that. Go get a job. This is not a job. This is a business. And one of the benefits of a business is that you can make lots of money with little time. And that is, for me, a huge bonus because I don't have unlimited extra time in my life. So I just want, I want to be paid for value, not for time. I provide value to customers, and I expect to be paid for value and for the cleverness of my designs and for all of that. So if I'm not getting paid for value, I'm not getting paid. This is the real world. This is how entrepreneurship, this is how e-commerce and capitalism really works. This is why I love capitalism, because it rewards value, not effort. Okay? Value, not effort. The rest of the world, all the Marxists out there, they look at, the number of hours that people spend putting the eraser on the pencil, and they're like, how come that guy's only making, $7 an hour? He put the eraser on the pencil. He glued it together. And they're like, well, that guy should be making some of the profit too. But they're ignoring the fact that even though we need the eraser on the pencil, the value was in the putting together all of the material, bringing everything together, and managing the process from beginning to end. That's the value right there. And without that, there would be no pencil. There would be nothing. There would be, a chunk of charcoal, a chunk of charcoal and, writing on the wall of a cave. Because for thousands of years, that's pretty much all we had for writing. Let's see here. So, of course, start with Evergreen ideas if you want to be full-time. I would say if you want to throw a number in there, maybe do 70% Evergreen and 30% like trending topical ideas. So, do 70% things that are always going to sell, birthdays, anniversaries, and so forth. And then 30%, things that come up in the news or whatever. So that's what I would do. I don't know that that's a perfect ratio. That's just what I would do. And if you want to be successful, you don't have to do what I do, right? I'm not the only successful person here, but I'm just giving you a blueprint where to start. Okay, well that's it for that. I just wanted to share a few ideas. I have been looking into buying a printer and printing my own coffee mugs from home. This is not something that you need to do. You don't need to worry about this, guys. This is just something that I thought about experimenting with. You can absolutely do this business without creating your own products. That's the beauty of this. There is one issue I've been seeing come up. I sell on both Amazon.ca and Amazon.com, and I also sell to Canadian customers on Etsy. And one thing that's happened a bunch of times in the last few months is that Canadian customers have not been getting their products, or they've been getting them really, 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 really long after they ordered them. And they're not happy with that. 6 to 8 weeks is the delivery time from the United States to Canada. And I've had a few customers a few customers getting the refund from Amazon. They'll file a complaint with Amazon. They're like, I didn't get my product. It's been 6 weeks. I want my money back. And Amazon gives them the money that they paid back. But I've already shipped the item to them, and it just hasn't made it there yet. Now, this is really frustrating. Because, number one, I know that I could get the item faster in Canada. And number two, shipping from the United States, the tracking stops at the border. Okay, so this is just one of those things. I either have to stop selling into Canada, or I've got to start printing items myself and shipping them to Canadian customers. Because what I'm doing right now is not profitable. I'm losing money sending things to Canadians. I'm just not making money off Canadians. And that sucks. Plus, I want to be able to provide better service to Canadians. And there's only two options. Stop selling to Canada or do better selling to Canada. Now, if you're short on time, it's just as easy for me to just not sell to Canada. I'll just make fewer sales overall, but I'll have more time. So that is an option. I'm not saying that, shipping my own products is a necessity. It might end up taking more time to do that than it's worth. But there's other reasons that I want to create my own products, and so I'm still looking into that. I'll let you guys know how things work out. That is all. Thank you for listening. I do appreciate every listener. I know there's new listeners being added all the time, and I do appreciate, if you share the podcast. Baby Jesus loves you for that. I mean, I won't know about it, but I do know that people are sharing the podcast, and I appreciate that. So that's it for this week. I will see you guys next week. Cheers.